Hello. Well, first of all, I'd like to apologize for not being there today with you. Anyway, I sent this video to explain my part, and I hope it helps you understanding the aesthetics of the Vasa. As I said, I'm gonna be discussing the aesthetics of the ship, more specifically the aesthetics of the art located on the stern of the Vasa. Well, the Vasa, being such a big ship, even for 17th century standards, could be understood as a place when it was first built. A space used by people and where different processes such as war, living, cooking came together. Nevertheless, today, 4 centuries after its sinking, is not a place anymore. It can be understood as an object, and an object whose aesthetics meet Hapala's definition of strangeness if we go into the course literature. From an aesthetical point of view, then, we could understand the Vasa as a unique form of art. If we take a look at Hapala's concept of aesthetics of strangeness of a place or an object are the characteristics that make it different, special, or worth noticing. It is very clear if we go to the museum that the ship have enough aesthetical characteristics to be special, and of course also worth noticing, which is why we have chosen this definition to introduce it. If we take a look at the Vasa stern from an artistical point of view, well, first of all, the stern is located back of the ship. It is the heaviest part of the ship and it contains the main rooms, including the captain, Sophie Hanson's room, as well as most of the artistic load of the ship. To analyze it, we can divide the sculptures of the stern in several sections. The first one I want to focus in is this one right here. I think you can see it. This is the shield held by two lions. This is the national Swedish shield, and it's one of the most highlighted carvings in the stern, both because it's in the center of the stern, and we can see, and also for its size, it's definitely the biggest. Second, underneath here, under the shield, we can identify another shield supported by two cherubs. This is the symbol of arms of the Vasa family, and is held by two cherubs, as I said, who are also holding an olive branch in one hand and flanked by lush clusters of fruit called cestons, which are symbols for peace and prosperity. We can see here um, how the piece looked when the shield was constructed back in 1628. On the upper part of the stern, up here again, I want to focus now. There is a big sculpture representing a stripling boy. His hair is loose and is surrounded by two griffins, which are mythological animals, half lion, half eagle. And those animals are holding a crown over the boy's head. And the sculpture, well, we cannot see it in the picture because it's pretty small, but there is an inscription. It says GARS, which stands for Gustavus Adolphus Rex Sweden. This is sculpture of Gustavus Adolphus II as a 10-year-old boy. Down here, between the sculpture and the Swedish national shield, we find a series of 5 human faces with various expressions, from anger to happiness. And we find many other sculptures in the stern: Roman warriors, servants, mermaids, and all kinds of different sea creatures. I like to focus on the colors of the Vasa stern. We cannot understand the Vasa aesthetics without its colors. The Vasa looks dark and colorless today, however, it was very different back in the day it was built. Thanks to some of the research that have been made during the 1990s, we can deduce the colors that the Vasa had back in 1628. For the most part, the ship was painted in strong red, more specifically red vermilion, as we can see in the picture. It was a color that symbolized Swedish royalty during the Middle Ages. The sculptures were also meticulously painted, using gold color for the most part, but also white, green, violet, and blue. All this artwork and paintwork took place in Stockholm, in Skeppsgården, if I pronounce it properly. I'm not that good in Swedish yet. And it was produced by some of the most important European artists of the time. Some of the names are Martin Redmer, Dutchman Johan Sisson, or German Hans. It is important that we know that all these were Northern European artists. Knowing this, we can understand better some of the characteristics of the art found on the stern of the Vasa. Northern European art of the time followed a tendency featuring balanced and harmonious compositions of the idealized countryside. We can identify by ancient dresses and ancient ruins, connecting the contemporary world to the world in the past. This is why some of the art on the Baza is based on Roman art, and that's something we can identify down here in the bottom of the stern, where we can see some Roman architecture as well as some Roman sculptures. Regarding the symmetrics of the Vasa, the stern, having so many work of art, added considerable weight to the weight of the whole ship. And as we know now, this was a problem. All of these wood carvings were very heavy, which made the stern very very heavy, and this affected the way in which the ship was designed, which is one of the one of the reasons why the Vasa sank. If we take a look at some literature, ship geometry concerns the correct intercorrelation of all compartments of the ship. However, the Vasa was too tall, too narrow on its base, and too heavy on its stern. The ideal architecture of a ship must be such that it can be economically built and aesthetically pleasant. However, the Vasa did not meet any of the ideal characteristics, and as a result, it sank. If we talk about the authenticity, about what we can see in the museum, 95% of what we can see right now is authentic. The actual ship, not this picture that I'm showing right now, because this is a smaller ship that we can also find in the museum. But the big one, is 95% real. There are some parts that have been replaced with new wood, which is visible because this new wood is lighter in color. And well, this authenticity is one of the most important characteristics of the Vasa today. There is no ship on the world anywhere close to this one regarding its state of conservation. We are talking about a 17th century ship that sank 4 centuries ago, so the fact that we still have 95% of it is pretty impressive and is what makes it unique. If we go into the next one, we can see a picture here of the stern again. It's not very clear, I couldn't find a clear one, but we can see this piece of wood right here, which is clearer, and then we can also see this one and that one. And this is the new wood that I was talking about. And I think it's very important that they didn't try to meld the new pieces with the old ones, so that we can actually see which parts are original and compare them to the new ones. And this helps us understanding and appreciating the authenticity of the ship. Finally, I'd like to talk about the alternative meanings of the ship. Um, from an aesthetical point of view and following the book Aesthetics of Ship Decoration, we can understand the Vasa as a work of art. However, a work of art may have other functions, in this case, function as a weapon or as a propagandistic tool, as my partners will explain now. If we take this into consideration, especially from an aesthetical point of view, the alternative meaning that gains importance is the beauty that the ship expressed. Um, its aesthetic made it something to admire and something to enjoy. People went to the Bay of Stockholm to see it live when it was first built, and we can understand it from its beauty. It can be similar to the subway in St. Petersburg or Moscow. The subway in Moscow was constructed as the palace of the people, something that they could experience and something that they could enjoy. And we can understand the Baza as something similar to that. Sadly, the ship was also a failure on this subject. Just like ordinary artifacts should fulfill their functions, works of art should fulfill the ends with which they are designed. Just like a knife is designed to cut, the Baza was designed to be a ship and to sail, and it didn't work as it should. It didn't fulfill its mission, so it can be understood as a total fail. This is related to the fit of purpose, another book that we found. To be fit of purpose means that a ship must be able to operate safely and reliably, and the Baza didn't fit its purpose. And I will leave you now with my partners that will explain the next characteristics of the ship. And anyway, I hope that this video helped understanding my part of the project. Thank you for watching.